All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
Those are great strategies. And I love the training that you received on it, because as you talk about like not getting in the box, I immediately got in the box with fictitious Bob when he raised his voice. And I was like, everyone stop yelling. Why are we yelling? But then I thought, that's me in the box. Like I just got in the box in that moment.
Yeah. God, how did I get in this box?
Yes.
How do I get out of this box is more important right now.
That's the other question. How do I get out of this? Yes,
right.
exactly.
Because I have the lid closed and,
Yes.
Oh boy, it's hard, and it's easy to get sucked into the drama, especially like we talked about before, where we all have our own triggers, our own biases. And so I'm an only child. I was raised by my mom and my nana, so very female-centric family. And one of my things that I always have to check is, in my world, my mom, like I said, she spent money on lawyers, and at the time of their divorce, she was only working part-time, and she was working inside the home raising me. And then she had an inkling that something was going on, so she got a part-time job. But she was making probably like 1/10 of what my dad was making.
Yeah.
And so what wound up happening was, when it came time to go through the lawyer route, she eventually ran out of money. She just didn't have the money to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. One day, I remember, the alimony checks literally just stopped. My dad just decided that he was going to stop paying alimony. Now, thankfully, the child support kept coming, but the alimony stopped. And I guess eventually the child support stopped. I don't remember that per se, but I was always home from school first, got the mail, put the checks on the counter, could see my dad's return address. Of course, I knew what this was, and usually there were 2 envelopes from him, then there was only one. And I think about those kinds of things, about getting in the box, and I have to say to myself, when I've got a spouse, and it could be a man or a woman, because women pay alimony too. It's gender neutral, whoever the higher earner is, and they don't want to pay that to the lower earning spouse, even though the lower earning spouse has done everything you've asked of them, gave up their career, raised the kids, X, Y, and Z, now works in an industry that's not really easy to get a job in. That's a trigger I really have to check, because that happened in my world, and you really need to work hard to be neutral. Being neutral is a job unto itself. It's not something you just learn or say or you train in. You really have to go, okay, that happened, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's take 5,
Exactly. Like recognizing it, because like you said, it's whichever spouse is going to start to bring that back up from your personal experience. And you have the emotion, right? Like you with all of your senses, you were able to see it, hear it, taste it, touch it. You touch the envelopes when they came in every month.
Yep.
And then if you're mediating 2 spouses that, you can clearly see the description that aligns with what you experienced and witnessed.
Yeah.
How do you put that in check? It's like, I see this coming. I still need to be neutral here.
Yes.
Right. And you ask a lot of questions. And I subscribe. So there's, as I talked before about being able to put my head on the pillow at night.
Yeah.
One of the ways I do that is by doing my job and doing it very well. I always show up. I give 100%. I'm not phoning this in. I am laser focused on you and you alone. And if you work with me, I will give you twice as much as you give me. I feel that's my role. And it's difficult to do that, but that's why you're working with me. On the flip side, I also have to protect myself, be good to myself, honor myself and my boundaries. And one of the things that's interesting about mediation is it's a voluntary process, meaning it's voluntary for everybody. And I let people know that right up front. I say, listen, I have high expectations of you. I understand there's going to be times where we swear, we yell, or we freak out. That's fine. But if it keeps happening and it's disrespectful and it's intentional, I am going to shut this thing down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to walk away, because I'm going to protect myself. And then I'm going to protect you as well, because that tells me you're not mediation friendly. You're going to need to litigate. I'm sorry for that. But that's a choice that you, client couple, make. You have all the power in the world to, my rules aren't hard. They're be present, be focused, don't call each other names. Like really stuff that you learn as a 5-year-old, right? This is real basic what I learned in kindergarten stuff. And if you can't follow that, then I'm going to take my ball and go home. And I think people are also surprised thinking, well, you have to listen to us. I don't actually. I'm happy to refund your money and go walk the dog and get the wine and have the dinner and, whatever it is. But, and most often, I've only in life, I've only fired 2 clients in 17 years. But those 2 were really rough. They were very, very, very aggressive. And that's where you really have to say, am I doing more harm than good? And it really just felt like I was at that point. And even though they probably can't see it now, I'm hoping that years from now, they'll realize what their behavior was like, how it was unacceptable, that they got some help for whatever was really ailing them, and that they are able to rebuild and move on. But I just know to protect myself and give that 200% to the other 98% of people, or 99.9 that I don't let go. I need to be my best self, and that's how I do it. And that's really just part of the contract we have with people, just the human contract that says, I will treat you the way you treat me, but my expectations of you are very high. So you best be treating me very well as also, right?
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, these are such key pieces, Joe. Like you just in the process of going through mediation, and even after they've completed their time in working with you, making sure that the spouses are getting some type of counseling or therapy to follow up on, just to process what they've gone through, being present and respectful when they're working with you. So really a lot of key pieces for individuals to take away, to apply to apply to themselves wherever they are, if they're facing divorce or on the cusp of facing divorce or what have you.
Right.
I think these are like foundational pieces that are helpful. The other big one that you talked about is who you're surrounding yourself with, which is key. Like, who are the little voices that are like, that you deserve more than that, keep fighting, I've got you, girl. Sorry.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, that's it.
And that's the hardest part, because when you're mediating, you're not only mediating with the client couple, but everybody else that they know.
Yes.
Their kids, their friends, their family, their neighbor. And as you would imagine, the part of being a mediator and part of working in such a profession that I do is that without confidentiality, I'm toast. If Right, I keep everything very close to the vest.
100%.
And when people find out what it is I do, they immediately want some salacious story, like, ooh,
what's been the word?
Dish, you must have some good gossip, right? And it's like, I do, but I can't tell you. And that's,
I was going to say, feel free to share it here if you do.
Right.
That's good.
So, but as a general rule, right, that's what you have to realize, is that that's only feeding the machine. And then when I refuse to give the salacious story, somebody comes back with one that tells me something about, oh, their friends, college roommates, got X, Y, or Z. And you listen to them and you think to yourself, like, let me get this straight. So they worked part-time at the grocery store and they paid $16,000 a month in alimony. How did that happen? Yeah, okay, sure. Right? Because people just want to create this drama around divorce. And at the end of the day, it's really not as dramatic as people think it is, unless they make it, right? And we have had, we've had some interesting clients. We've had some high-profile clients. And they're actually the best to work with, because they're public figures. They don't want the drama. They want
the confidentiality.
Quietly to go away. And we are just those. We are the people to do that. And they're a joy to work with. And you just, it's the folks who think divorce should be drama. And typically it's the folks who, what's really ironic is, in my experience, the amount of drama is indirectly proportional to the amount of assets you have. The more you have, the less drama we've got. The less you have, the more drama we've got. And I think it's because the stakes are higher, that there's only one bank account or one car, or and so it really ratchets up. You want people to recognize, however, that it doesn't matter if one of you gets the car at the end of the day. You're really in a lot of financial trouble right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That car is not going to pay your bills. That's not going to
Right.
pay your rent or put groceries on your table. And that's where we try to, again, when you're dealing with people, you're constantly evaluating, right? You're looking at what's the dynamic between these folks.
Mhm.
And a lot of it's the old iceberg, right? You only see what's above the surface. And
Mhm.
there's decades of drama and other things below the surface that I don't really want to get into because I'm not a therapist. That's not my role, but I need to be aware of where the landmines are so I don't step on them.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's really a key as well. You're feeling people out, you're moving slowly, you're trying to understand what's the hang up here. And invariably, when it comes to listening to folks, and we all, this is a just for your listeners and anybody, we have a saying when we think about negotiation. So as you realize, I love the art of negotiation. That's really what I do. I'm a professional negotiator, and I apply these same things whether I'm at the restaurant and the bartender's not paying attention to me, or I'm buying a car, or whatever it is, whatever when I'm trying to get something done or get something for myself. And I'm always looking at what I say is, what is the position behind the position? Why is this person saying this to me? Why are they coming at me this way? What is this energy coming at me, right? What's really behind them? And I can tell you with 100% certainty what it is they're yelling or saying to you has absolutely nothing to do with the real issue. It's my dog died, meanwhile you're yelling about alimony, but it's really I'm sad about my dog. And that makes perfect sense, right? I love dogs. I have a dog. My dog, it's like, oh my gosh, So let's break through that. And that's also part of in mediation, you have the ability to have those redirect those conversations. Whereas in a attorney driven, it's just butting heads, butting heads, butting heads. We're not really caring about what's behind all of this. We're just trying to grind this thing down and grind it out and get it done. And I'm really just trying to figure out what's triggering you, what's making you say this, what can we help you release so we can move past this and we can have the crash, if you will, where all the emotions come out, and then we can go, okay, now I understand what's going on. And when we have those moments in mediation, they're the best moments because the people cry, everybody's upset, I'm upset, they're upset, and we're all just like, hey, you know what? I'm glad we had this conversation. And people are like, they kind of look at each other and, the thunderstorm has passed, and now we can get on with really talking to each other as people and getting this thing done and moving forward. And that's another part of it, right? Again, the whole wearing many hats thing. It's like part cheerleader, part therapist, part negotiator, part financial advisor. You really just, it's quite a varied job to help people cross that finish line.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's eye-opening because I mean, just quite candidly, I have a good friend that is a mediator as well, and I just thought she was that neutral third party that sat in the room while they worked it out. Like I didn't
Right.
realize that you have to be able to wear many hats and swap those
Sure.
hats out when needed.
Yeah, you're trying to keep everybody at the table. That's your job,
Yeah.
right? You don't want people to walk away, even though you know that it has nothing to do with you, right? It's them. They can choose to blow all the money or all the stress or all the time.
Right.
But you just really like, sometimes I'm more invested in it than they are, where I'm like, come on, we can do this. Come on, stay with me.
Yes.
Like, it's like, oh my gosh. And you're also, in a way, going back to the parental thing, these folks, like, another thing that happens, we've all had these relationships, even whether it's a romantic one or a friendship, where you're in this relationship and suddenly it's not like you wake up one day and realize this because it's been nagging at you over time. But you realize you're in this one-way relationship where you're not getting positive feedback, you're not getting encouragement, you're not getting support. And you're thinking like, what the heck am I doing here? And so when somebody like me comes along and says, hey, you know what? Your budgets look great. I really appreciate you taking the time to put in, obviously, as much time as you did preparing these. That's probably the first nice thing this person has heard in 10 years, right? Meanwhile, I'm talking about a spreadsheet, right? Which isn't really like a heartfelt kind of thing, but I am saying like, hey, you did a great job and thanks for doing that. I appreciate it. And then folks are like, well, yeah, I did a good job. Hey, all right, I'm not a terrible person. And that's also part of what we're trying to do is to keep them at that table by positive reinforcement and encouragement. And because it's almost like probably like when your parents, when you were little and they try to give you medicine and you're like, I don't want that. And they're like, this is good for you. And because it was good for you, even though it
Yes.
tasted terrible, you were like, okay. And they gave you the medicine. And that's kind of what I'm doing. It's like, I know this is hard. I know you're not going to like this, but trust me, this is better for you.
It's good for you.
With you. Don't please stay, So that's
Yes.
also part of it too. Yeah. It's, when people say, what do you do? I'm like, well, I mean, I help people divorce without lawyers, but what I really do, I am a cheerleader negotiator to this. So that's what I really do all day.
Yeah. And I imagine part of that is by doing what you're doing is that building of trust because
Hmm.
neither of them trust you at this moment because
No,
oh, you're going to side with this person or you're going to side with that
right,
person. And how can I
right.
trust you? And so part of
Yeah,
that relationship that you're building with, hey, good job on that spreadsheet. I know that that took a lot, or good job on that budget, is starting
yep.
to build that relationship with them to help kind of disarm them a little bit.
Of course, that's
Yeah.
key. We all have,
Yeah.
and I'm asking you to share intimate details of your
Yeah.
life, your kids,
Yeah.
your finances. I know exactly what you make, what you spend, where you go.
Mhm.
Like, I have your social security numbers. Like,
Mhm.
I could ruin your life if I wanted to, right? Not that I'm
Yes.
going to, but
Yeah.
that's it. It's like I am asking a lot, and I realize that. And by saying that up front, I'm letting them know. I want you to know that I do realize I'm asking a lot. And that does, I hope, put them at ease. And by sharing some of myself and part of, the wonderful opportunity to speak with you ladies is that they get to know me as a person. I want people to feel like they know, like, trust, and they've heard me and they've seen me and they're like, okay, this guy, yeah, he seems okay, right? And that's all part of it too, because you're really asking this is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest decision, other than maybe to get married or to have kids, is to get a divorce. And that's a huge step. It's a huge process and an undertaking. And it's not hyperbole to say it will literally impact you for the rest of your natural born life.
Right.
So you need to make sure you've got a guide who can get you through this process the best way possible, even though I'm not saying it's going to be great or fun or terrific. Just finished up with a client before speaking with you, and the husband is very funny. He's very artistic, and he's not a numbers guy at all. And we're going through the spreadsheets and all the stuff. And he's like, I gotta say, I want you to know, no disrespect, I hate math. He's like,
Yeah.
but I really appreciated you explaining all the numbers to me because at least now I know how it works. He's like, it was still terrible. I want you to know it was one of the worst things I ever had to do, but I appreciated the work you did. I was like, you know what? That's
Yeah.
the best I can hope for from somebody like that. I was
It's
like,
a
I'll take
win.
it.
Yes.
I'll take the win.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that. I
Yeah.
think that was a compliment in a backhanded way.
Yes,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a small wins. I think, Joe,
right.
that's absolutely a win from a
That's
creative
it,
tech for
right?
them to
Yeah.
say, I
Yeah.
appreciate this budgeting
Gotta
process.
take it.
It's
Gotta
a
take it, Natalie.
win.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? Thank you. You're
Yeah.
not a terrible human.
Yes,
I
exactly.
mean, ultimately, the mediation, you're trying to create a win-win. Yes, they're both
Yeah.
having to give. They go to litigation. There's always going to be a loser in that.
Of
Always.
course. Yeah, and win-win means sometimes expanding the pie, as we say. You're always
Exactly.
looking for other things that people can give because when you do what's known as positional bargaining, right? No, I want a cheeseburger. Well, I want a pizza. I want a cheeseburger, right? Somebody has to lose to win. And instead, it's like, well, we're both hungry, right? That's the interest. We're both hungry. Let's get something to eat. Well, I don't want a cheeseburger because I'm vegetarian. I don't want pizza because I'm allergic to tomatoes. Okay, great. Let's go for Thai food. We found something that we can both like and we win and it satisfies and it wasn't even an option that was on the table. That's my job is to come up with the Thai food, idea.
Yeah.
That's how it works in my world is to try to find what is it we're really trying to do here? What are we trying to accomplish? And find an option that's going to work for everybody. And that's just experience. That's just me doing this for so long, where you're looking at people and you're analyzing them and thinking what would work, what might not work, what options could be good, what should I not bother with? And that really is part of the art of the negotiation and being an active participant. And I think, Natalie, I think you were saying this, right, with your friend being a mediator. We're not just potted plants that look nice in the corner of the
Yeah.
room, right? Just waiting for the sunshine.
Yeah.
We're in there with you. We're in the fight, and we want to make sure that you're getting the outcome that you need and want and deserve. And that takes a lot of activity and preparation and time spent on your case, even when I'm not sitting across from you, thinking about you, examining everything that you've submitted, working through all the options in my head before I step into session. So I'm not just going, I don't know, give me a few minutes, you guys, and let me think about something. I've got to come in prepared because these folks want to minimize their time. I don't take that personally, right? I get that a lot. Joe, you're a nice guy, but we would prefer not to see you again after our session tonight.
Wrap this up.
No
Exactly.
problem.
The clock is still running.
Yeah, not taking it personally. Don't sweat it. Send me a card if you feel like it one Christmas. That'd be lovely, right? So
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love it. Joe, I'd love for you to give us some advice or give our listeners that are not going through a divorce, but they may be the folks on the sideline, right?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
Right.
cheerleaders that are surrounding the divorcee or the spouse that's going through a divorce.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for those folks? How can they be most helpful to a spouse that's going through a divorce, either with a mediator or if they're going the litigious way and going through the courts?
Yeah, the easiest thing is listen. Actively, really listen. We all hate silence. We all want to give our opinion. We all want to tell people what we think they should do.
Mhm.
I truly believe people eventually get to the answer. They do. They've got it somewhere in there, somewhere racking in their brain or their heart or whatever. They know what the right thing to do is. They know what it is they want and they need. Your job as a friend, as a family member, is to say, I'm here for you when you want to talk. You want to listen, you want to cry, you want to scream, you want to yell, you want to laugh. No problem. I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I'm going to acknowledge and validate. I'm going to listen and say, hey, I don't know what it's like to be you. This must be really hard on you. What is it I can do to help? And in negotiation, we have the magic phrase, people like to help. And that goes two ways. So as a negotiator, whenever I'm asking for something from someone, now I'm revealing a secret. So if anyone out there who knows me is listening, they're going to hear me say this when I'm coming up on them, and they're going to go, I know what you're doing to me. But if I want to get something from you, the best way I can do that is I could say, like, let's say I need help moving a couch, or let's say I don't want to hire movers because I'm cheap, right? Let's make it real obvious. And I call up Natalie and go, oh, Natalie, I got this couch. It is blocking my living room. Man, I really need some help moving it. Well, Natalie's a person, and Natalie's a nice person, and Natalie is my friend. And of course, Natalie wants to help me. So Natalie's going to say to herself, well, I'm not a big dude, but Joe, you want me to come over and try and help you move that couch? Oh, Natalie, really? You would do that? Oh, wow, I would really love that. That's how, as a negotiator, you open the conversation to get what you want. The opposite is true. When you're on the other side and you're the listener, how can I help you? How can I be your friend? How can I be the best friend you need right now? How can I be of assistance, right? That's it. Let the person tell you what they need. That's key because sometimes people just want to scream. Sometimes they want to go to drinks. Sometimes they don't want to talk,
Yeah.
right? And maybe you were the one who wants to feel, how's it going? How's your court? When do you go to court next? What did he say? Maybe they're sick of that, right? So always remember the help mantra, whether you're asking or you're offering, whatever it is. Help is such a magic word, and it's not one that I really feel like we don't do enough helping. We need to help people more. Your friends, your neighbors, your family. Are you okay? Real simple, like basic humanity questions that we seem to have lost a little bit of our way in this world. And so that to me is the best advice I could give someone. Ask them what they need. How can I help you? How can I be your best friend? What do you need from me right now? And they might say, I don't know. And guess what? That's also okay. You hold their hand, put your arm around them, sit there, and even to the guys out there, I'm telling you, guys, you can pick up another guy's hand. That's totally fine. Just say, hey, man, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, just I'm here, and you can just stay quiet. Just that's it, right? So that would be the best advice I could give.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. And I think the big piece on that is just listening, like you said. Like ask the
Right.
question and then listen, even if it's
Yes.
just silence. Just
Right.
then you sit with that.
Yeah, silence is good because then you can hear the voice inside your head, right? That
Yes.
person can hear that. And that's probably the first time they've had some quiet with their kids yelling or their lawyer calling or the mediator asking for this or their ex-spouse, soon to be ex, yelling at them about X, Y, or Z. It's like, okay, yeah, wow, I actually have a moment to myself to reflect and
Wow.
hear what it is that I want. And this is a really, I think, Natalie, Pam, this is really an important point. We spend our lives really as adults and even as kids, right? When you're in school, your teacher is telling you what to do, your parents are telling you to do your homework. Don't punch your brother, whatever
Hmm.
it is,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Then as an adult, you have to go to this meeting, you have to finish this report, you have to do, we're constantly being told what to do. No one's ever asking us what we want,
Right.
right? Never. Like, when was the last time somebody said, hey, you know what, Natalie? What do you want to do today? You'd be like, probably I bet your first reaction would be like, I don't know. What do you want to do? You would have deflected immediately, right? Because
Absolutely.
you're like
Of
freaking
course.
out. Somebody asked you what you want to do. You're like,
What do
don't
you
want
want to do?
to know.
Yeah.
Why are you asking me that? How
Yes.
dare you ask me that?
Yeah.
So, right.
Exactly. It's true.
Yeah,
Whatever you want to do is fine for me. That's great.
right.
That's
I don't know, right? Because if you're afraid, you panic, and
Yeah.
that's what would happen in this
Yeah.
situation here.
Yeah. Gosh.
That's powerful, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So many nuggets of wisdom. I think that not just apply to people that are going through a divorce. I think these are great just from a relational standpoint,
Yeah,
romantic and platonic, right? There's a lot
of
of great
course.
takeaways that you've given us in our time together today. So thank you
Yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Yes.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I said I'm all about improving relationships. There's enough acrimony out there. There's enough people who aren't going to get along with each other for whatever God only knows what reason.
Yeah.
But when you get hopeless and when you're feeling down, uh, I'm a member of the Rotary Club, and we always believe it's service above self.
Mm,
And we say to ourselves, how can I affect change in my own community? I
yeah.
Mhm.
can't worry about what's going on in Washington or in Europe or in Asia. I'm a person, I'm a human, I'm not a politician, but I can pick up that piece of trash. I
Yeah.
can bring a meal to that elderly person who can't drive anymore. I can pet this dog, and I can make my own world a better place. And a lot of that comes from those kinds of moments, but also the things we've talked about today, the language, how we show up, how we approach, how we listen, and how we care for people. Really powerful to think through that. There are people who are hurting out there in whatever relationship, work, personal, professional, and taking that time to listen to them and being there for them, best thing you can do.
Love it.
That's
Well
amazing.
said.
Yeah.
Joe, if someone wants to get a hold of you or get in touch with you to work with you, how can they go about doing so?
Yeah, best place is probably our website, which is equitablemediation.com. That's the name of our company. If you go there, you'll see we practice in multiple states, so you can see where we practice and also go into our resource center. We believe in education. We have a ton of, podcast videos, downloads, worksheets, blog posts, all kinds of articles, checklists for people to help them wrap their brain around what's been going on. I've been doing this for so long. I'm just sharing the wisdom that I've gleaned over all the years I've been mediating. And just if it can bring a little more peace to someone, a little more calm to their selves so that they can approach this process, with calm and dignity and a little peace in their heart so that it doesn't become that disaster and ruin them, that they can be resilient, that they can rebuild, and that they know their life's not over, because it's not. This is a terrible thing you may be going through, but I promise not to sound trite about it, but this too shall pass. You just have to stay on the track and keep your eye forward, and it's going to stink while you're in it. I'm not going to lie,
Yeah.
but how you handle it in the process is really going to set you up for the rest of your life. So that's the best way. Website at equitablemediation.com. You can schedule a free call with us if we practice in your state. You'll get to talk to Cheryl. If you want to meet with me, you can do that as well. All that stuff is out there on the website. So that's a great way to start.
Perfect.
That's fabulous. Thank you, Joe.
Love it.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time
Thank
out
you.
to share
Yeah.
just a smidge of your knowledge with our listeners today. I feel like there's so much more in there, but we can't give it all away because
Oh,
then your practice. I mean,
right. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to make this a multi-part series,
exactly.
volume two, it's like,
Exactly.
oh my gosh.
Oh
But
my
no, thank you for
gosh.
having me. I always
Exactly.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will make sure that we put your website and the contact your social handles on the show notes as well, so our listeners
Great.
can easily access it from there. And for our listeners, you all know the spiel. If you are interested in learning about what's happening in the world of Reignite Resilience, head on over to reigniteresilience.com or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Oh, and if you have not picked up the book from Amazon, A Quiet Gift, make sure that you go and do so now. Until next time, we'll see you all soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.